Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the Live with Audacity podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Stewart, and today you're listening to episode number 26. I'm so very excited about today's episode. I have the lovely Monica Miller of Monica Writes here today to discuss how we can use our story to impact others. Oftentimes, we think our story isn't that interesting, or no one would care about it, or we forget that it's actually pretty windy and has lots of ups and downs that make it really interesting, and so we don't use it. But I want you to understand that your story will help someone else. You may not end up famous or on the cover of Time magazine, but I guarantee you sharing your story will help someone else. Maybe you'll help them realize they actually do have talent. Maybe you'll help them realize that their life is a series of circumstances that they put themselves in, and therefore they can get themselves out. Maybe you will help them realize that they truly can do and be whatever they imagine for themselves. Whatever your story is, share it with the world. We all have a story, and they're all interesting. That's one major reason I decided to start this podcast. I could literally pull the next person in off the street I see and get them to sit down and tell their story, and it's going to blow you away. Why? Because we all have crap we have to go through to push us to live up to our greatest potential. It's up to us how we use those lessons. Okay, I'm off my soapbox now. Let's dive in to today's episode and hear Monica's story and how she uses it to help others tell their stories. You're listening to the Live with Audacity podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Stewart. Audacity is defined by Merriam-Webster as intrepid boldness or disregard for normal constraints. And that's exactly what we have here. The Live with Audacity podcast is aimed at giving you the courage to explore your someday dreams, do things your way, and start making things happen in your life right now. I'm a mama of 4 kiddos ranging from college student to kindergartner, wife to a high school football and track coach, and a multi-passionate entrepreneur. Together with my guests, we're going to teach you how to live with audacity and intentionality, discover and utilize your unique skills and talents, and step into who you are meant to be in order to make your someday dreams a reality. Are you ready? Here we go. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning back into the Live with Audacity podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Stewart, and today is going to be so fun because I have the incredible Monica from Monica Writes. She is a content strategist and writing coach. Monica, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to get started.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you. Again, this is Monica Miller. She's a content strategist and writing coach, and we were actually just talking before we jumped on about you have 3 books and 1 in the making. But you told me about your first book that you ever wrote called The Cave Nemesis. You said you wrote that book at 19 years old. That's so mind-blowing to me. Tell me about how in the world you decided at 19 that you could be a published author and how this all came about.
Yeah. So when I was like 12 years old, I wanted to write a book. That was my whole dream. That was my entire life purpose, was to write a book and become a famous author. And it was really funny because I actually knew a couple of people who written books at the age of 17 and 18. And so I knew I could do it. And it was really funny because I wrote my book, The Cave Nemesis, which is a fictional book. And I believe I published it about 18, 19 years old, somewhere around there. And I chose a publisher because I knew a guy who had written a book, and he went through the same publisher. And at the time, it was called Publish America. But that's how I knew I could find a publisher, because at that time, the publisher was free. You just had to pay for your books and they ship it to you, and then you can just, mock you up and make some money from it.
Oh, wow. So cool. So what is The Cave Nemesis about?
So The Cave Nemesis is about 4 teenagers going over to the desert to where their fathers, who were all scientists, were working on a secret mission there, and they decided like they could, they needed some extra help. So each father chose one kid, and they flew out there, and they came upon a scene of like total chaos. Um, it's pretty gruesome because apparently that's my imagination. And so they and then their friend had gone out before them a few months before them, and they decided, oh, they couldn't find him. They found their father's bodies in a gruesome state. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
And so they, it's all about like what happened here, and why isn't the agency who helped them fund this scientific research like telling us? So it's a murder mystery, but it's also an adventure story as well.
So cool. I think that's so awesome. Wow. That's just so incredible. I think that's so neat that you had the audacity to write a book and get it published at 19. I think that's so neat. So you help women entrepreneurs develop their content, and you coach them on how to get their story out. Is that correct?
It is. Yeah. And one of the things I've noticed about, just women and entrepreneurs in general is that we have a story, but we always tell ourselves, it seems that, oh, I'm not, my story isn't great, or my story isn't worthy, or my story isn't big enough, or I don't have the credentials, or I don't have this and that and the other. And one of the things I really want to do is help these entrepreneurs get their voice out there in a bigger way. And for me, that's content, because content is king. Without content, you have no marketing, like anything. Just
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yes.
reality. And so I help entrepreneurs get those stories out in a bigger way so that they can not only bring more clients to their doorstep that is eager to work with them, but that they can make more money. And when we make more money, we can impact our community and our world in a bigger way.
Yes, I totally agree with that. I think that, we, like you said, we get so hung up on, oh, my story isn't that interesting. But
Mm-hmm.
can you help people not embellish their story, but make them, I don't want to say embellish because that makes it seem like you're making things up that aren't true, but can you help them use words to make it flow and make it a little bit more interesting, rather than just like, hey, I'm a divorced mom of two? Like, do you help them really kind of dig into that and make it sound a little more interesting?
Yes. So one of my, what they call that, superpowers is that I love listening to people's stories. And then from even 30 minutes of listening, I can come up with so much content for you, and topics from just what you told me, because I can see how your story can be woven in such a way that it not only flows well, but that your audience is craving it. Because as entrepreneurs, our stories are so woven into what we do. Like for example, I had a speech impediment when I was little, and I think that's why I turned to writing, because so many people asked me, "Can you like repeat yourself? Can you slow down? What did you say?" And I got tired of it, so I turned to writing. And that is a part of my story. And how can I can use that in so many different ways, because I'm like, I was a little girl who talked too fast for anyone to understand. And I didn't pronounce a lot of my words. And I went from that to speaking on stages, writing books, helping others start their blogs, creating a blog myself where I have written almost over 100, about 300 blog posts since then. Like, if I can do that, you can too. And this is like the things that I did to get over my fears or get over my blockages. You see how I can use my story and I could totally turn it into my business.
Yes,
And
I love
that's what
that.
I do.
Yeah, I love that so much. Tell me a little bit about how you got over your fear of having your speech impediment and how it affects your, you know, how it affects your childhood and into your adulthood. How did you overcome that fear that people were, thinking about it or talking about it or, you know, looking at you differently?
It's so funny because I never even thought about it. I think it's because my parents didn't make a big deal out of it.
Love that.
They, I mean, that's really what I think it boiled down to. My parents didn't make a big deal out of it, and they just figured that I wasn't going to shut up anyways, and and I'll just figure it out. And I did. And the things that really has helped me is I went, well, when my husband and I married, he was stationed in Germany at Ramstein Air Force Base. And a lot of the Germans didn't understand me. So I had to slow down a lot because they were like, "What, Monica? Can you repeat yourself?" So I had to talk extra slow, and extra slow is, really slow for me. And then once I got back to the States, I got into Toastmasters. And Toastmasters helped me with some pronunciation or words to avoid using because they're like, oh, I know you're still working on that, Monica, but if you can't pronounce it, maybe use this word. But at the same
Oh,
time, I'm just kind of like, well, if I use a word that you don't understand, you can always ask me to repeat it, or I'm just going to use it and you can maybe figure out what I said.
yeah, use
But
context clues.
yeah, no, so I'm just, there was never any fear of getting over it. I just know, I remember one time in college, my friend told me I pronounced forget wrong. I was putting like a D instead of a G. And I asked him, like, why didn't you correct me about this? And he was like, well, it was kind of cute, Monica. And I'm like, no,
Oh,
Ben, it's not cute. It won't be, it's not going to be cute in 5 years.
oh,
You're so
oh, that's
funny,
so funny.
isn't
Oh,
it?
well, it's so cute that he just like had so much love in his heart for you that he was just like, I just wanted you to keep being your adorable self.
I know, it's so funny. And, then I met a coach and I worked with her for over a year. And one of the first things she said to me was, I'm going to make you a lot of money because of your speech impediment. And I'm
Oh,
like,
wow,
I'm
I
down.
like that.
I'm down with that.
Yes, please. Check.
Yes.
Ah, that's awesome. Well, I mean, hopefully she is sticking to her word and you're killing it. I love that you didn't let it hold you back from becoming a speaker. I know that you kind of gravitated toward the writing because of your speech impediment, but you've broken out of that mold and said, I'm going to do what I want to do and be a speaker also. I just think that is so incredible. And before we got on the call, like you said, if I can overcome this and be an international speaker and write books and all of these things, then anybody can do it. So I love that that's the message that you want to deliver to people, is that don't let anything hold you back. Like everything about you is the way that you're supposed to be, and it's turning out to be a pretty cool thing and a pretty great story for you to be able to tell other people.
Yeah, and that, and I just want to spread not only that message, but I also want to spread the message that you can do this too. I mean, nothing's holding you back but yourself right now. And I want to help so many entrepreneurs get their story out, because when their story is out or their message is out, they can impact their community and their state, their nation, I mean, the world in such a bigger way. And we were put here on this earth to do big things. And one of the things that to me is the biggest mission of all is to speak your message. And that's what I do. I help you activate your message so that you are getting in front of the right ideal clients and higher end clients that want to pay you big bucks because they know, man, she is on fire. I want to work with her. That's what I want to bring to entrepreneurs.
I love that. Love that. So when you uncover a new level of mindset stuff, how do you typically work through that?
I feel like I always go through a period of like digestion,
Uh-huh.
whenever something comes up, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, I need to work on that. It's just beginning to figure out like how do I implement that into my everyday life. And then I feel like it's a lot of practice and a lot
Yeah.
of failing. um, and knowing, okay, that did not work. I should, what can I do differently next time and make it better and just be in that awareness phase. I feel like I go through awareness a lot of what's going on. How am I showing up? What is it that is bringing me, like maybe holding me back, and just kind of diving into that piece and being aware and then taking some action steps after that and then seeing what works, what doesn't. Like in business, right? We always are trying different things and to see what works and what doesn't. And if it doesn't work, then it's like, well, what can I do that will make it work? Or should I discard that and not do that again? And that's where, for me, whenever I get to like a new level, that's the period, that's what I go through.
I love that you said awareness, because I think that's huge. A lot of times in my personal experience, and then seeing other people, is that that's where we get hung up, right? A lot of times
Mm-hmm.
we're not even aware of what it is that's holding us back, so we can't even overcome it. And we just, you know, we've all been around the block several times, but are you now aware of what the block looks like? Are you ready to change what the block looks like? And trying different things, that's so key. And trying, it's awesome when you try something and it works, but it's even better when you try something and it doesn't work, and then you can go back and be like, okay, I need to reevaluate. I need to try something different. I think that's so vital to our mindset and overcoming those things, and also understanding that, you know, like I said, there's so many layers. You reach that one point and then you're like, okay, I'm good. And then something else comes up and you're like, son of a gun, I thought I already worked through that.
Yeah, I mean, we're like onions, right? And once
Totally.
we can't handle all the things at once because we won't even try to work on ourselves. So that's why I think, by God's good grace, He only gives us like one layer to work on, and then from there we can work on the next layer and the next layer. And I
For
think it
sure.
for me is just like I said, going back to the awareness and seeing how I show up, seeing like how do I want to live my life and going from there, and then just like you were saying, just and what I was saying earlier, seeing what works and what doesn't, and being aware of what works and be like, okay, here's what I need to do better, or this is how I need to do it differently. Not maybe it's not so much better, but it's just differently. How can I do it differently, and not put that shame on us, just knowing we're doing our best and it's okay to mess up, and just
Yeah, no
don't
one's
beat ourselves up.
yeah, no one's standing in the corner with, a little chalkboard going, world 1, you 0.
That's
So
right.
just keep, getting back up and trying again. I love it. So tell me a little bit about, I know you've written 3 books and you're working on number 4. They're all so different and interesting. Tell us a little bit about your books that you have.
Yeah, so I have written one book called Write Your Book in No Time. And I was running to a lot of entrepreneurs who had told me I don't have time to write my book. And I'm like, yes, you do. You're just not making time. So I talked, in that book, I really go into the mindset and then how to structure your day in such a way that you are empowering yourself to write in your book in a way that feels good to you. It's not like oh, I have to write in my book. It's you're creating that time, you're creating the space for it, you are putting a plan in place for yourself. And I talk about all that in this book. It's a really thin book, but it's for me, this is what I found while I was writing my own book, and I wanted to share it with others. And then I have another one, and it's called the 30-Day Devotional for Christian Writers. And I wrote that devotion because I felt like there wasn't enough devotionals that allowed you to really journal. Because I found that
Ooh.
when I journaled, I could uncover these blind spots I may have. And then I could bring, like we were talking about, awareness to it and seeing it for what it is. And I felt like creating a book, because I was all like, God, someone should do that. And he was kind of like, well, why not you? And I'm
Why
like,
not you,
oh,
girl?
oh, okay. So I wrote that book, and both of these books, so Write Your Book in No Time and 30-Day Devotional for Christian Writers, they were both written within a 3-month period, written and published within a 3-month period, because I wanted to show people it doesn't have to take you a year. It could take 3 months. Now, the book I'm working on now, this has been a 10-year book process.
Awesome.
So I'm also in that. Yeah, it's going to take me a while to write the book, but at the same time, I am putting things in place to make sure I am writing consistently. I just actually asked somebody, I'm like, could you wake up really early and we can write in our books together? Because I need to get up earlier and write in my book in order to make this happen. So we are
Yeah.
starting that process now, which feels
Oh,
really
that's so
good.
great. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so first of all, real quick, just to touch on those books, I hope that Amazon sells a package of the two Write Your Book in No Time and the 30-Day Devotional for Christian Writers. I think those are so great, and I can't wait to check them out and get them in my hand, because I feel like those are two things that I desperately need in my life, and I know for a fact that this interview is meant to be. And I just love that God has put you right in the right spot at the right time for me. I think that's so wonderful. Um, Tell us a little bit about how entrepreneurs can create content for their business, or do you have any like tips or tricks to help us kind of bring out some topics that we can write about?
Yeah. So if you are on the struggle bus on, I don't know what to write, because I get that a lot. I mean, not writing doesn't come easy to everyone. I mean, it comes easy to me because I've been practicing it since I was like 10 years old. So what that looks like for you is one of the things I always tell people who are in business and they're saying, I don't know what I should write about, is to become aware of the frequently asked questions that people ask you. You know, the questions that people are asking you that you already have the response to before they have even finished the question. So that is a great segue into any type of content, whether that's for your newsletter, that could be a video, that can be a social media post, a blog post. I mean, it could be a variety of things. Because if one person or several people are asking you the same question over and over and over again, it means a lot of people are thinking it. So why not just meet them where they are and
I love
just
that.
answer the question? It could be any format you want. So that for me is number one. If you are having trouble coming up with content, and then another way is just this is going to be your vulnerability exercise. Just share your story. Just like I shared my story about, hey, I had a speech impediment when I was little. You know, not a lot of people know that. They actually think I have a hearing problem, and I don't. You can ask my husband. I do not have a hearing problem. So I can talk to that. I can talk into that space of, I had a speech impediment. And I didn't think much about it, of course, but a lot of people have pointed out, like, hey, Monica, you overcame a great feat. Even though I don't think it's a great feat per se, there are other feats in my life that I have yet to overcome, but it's so easy for other people to overcome. I mean, I can go into that direction. I've been really preaching a lot lately on Facebook Live, just sharing your message. The
Yes,
greatest mission you have is to share your message. And that just means start with your story. Maybe just start from your beginnings. Like, where did you come from? I grew up in Byron, Georgia. I knew I wanted to be a writer. This is how my life went.
I
And then
love
just
it.
go from there. Yeah.
I love
I mean,
that. I love that so much. So many times that, we're online and we're interacting and things like that. And we kind of forget that people don't know where we came from or how we got to this place. And to be honest, that's one of the big reasons I started this podcast, is that everyone has a story. Everybody has something that they've been through, or a mindset stuff that they've needed to work through, or typically, entrepreneurs especially have this thing where they're like, I was doing this job that I thought I was supposed to do and I absolutely hated it, and finally I just got the guts to be like, I want to do what I want to do, and they broke through that and decided to launch a business. So I love that you say share your story and start from the beginning, because
And
go ahead.
go ahead, Miller. Oh, yeah, I was going to say that is a great social media post or video or blog. I mean, that right there is what Melissa said. It doesn't need to be complicated. And, one of the things I've also been doing, and I would love for you, as Melissa's audience to consider, is when you're on the phone, like on a discovery call or a sales conversation, notice what people are saying and then write about it. I've been doing that a lot with my Facebook lives. A lot of people say, I don't know if this is the right time for me. And so I came up with the topic of, do we make up that it's not the right time? Like, do we make that up?
Totally.
And so you see how you can totally use a conversation or words from a potential client, and you can speak into that in a social media post, in a Facebook Live, in a blog, because I think that's important to share what you're picking up on.
Yes, I love that that you're helping us really realize that everything can be content. Every conversation that we have can be content. I think that's mind blowing. Honestly, I'm sitting here like, son of a gun, I have so much content I could write right now. I think that's so great.
And if you're like, okay, Monica, I'm not really a fan of writing, well, why don't you just make a video? Like, go on Facebook Live, make the video, and you can record it using Loom. Loom is free. And then submit that to a site called rev.com, and they would transcribe that for you for $1 a minute. And then you could take that transcription and turn that into anything you want: a blog post, newsletter posts, social media, multiple social media posts. So, I mean, thank you. I mean, I'm like, if you don't like, if you don't like content, just do video, because video is content. It's just a different way of content. And just use what you have and use what you love doing. If you love videos, get on video. If you love audio, like Melissa's doing, use that. There's no limits. The only limits that we have is ourselves. That's it.
That's literally it. Oh man, I just wish I could get through to people and be like, you are the only one stopping you. There's nothing outside of you stopping you except for you and your belief in yourself. Monica, I'm so glad that you're here and we're getting to talk about this. It just lights my heart up. I love it so much.
I know. It's like, yes, I love this, Melissa. And there's a book called You're Made for a God-Sized Dream by Holly Goethe.
I have chills all over my body right now. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Tell me.
Yeah. All right. So I could send the link, at least the book cover to you. Not the book cover, but I could send you the book title to you. But one of her chapters, I believe it's chapter 9. I mean, I could just tell God was speaking through her. And one of the things that she just talks about is, she says it's over and over again. She's like, you are all we have. There is no plan B. Like, God is not in the business of plan Bs. Like, you are plan A, and you are all we have. You got one shot at this. You're all we have. God made you to share your story. Whether or not you believe in God, that's okay. I don't care. But what it all boils down to, you got one shot. You only have one life to do this, and you are the only one to share the message that you have to others in the way that you do. And we need you. We need you. And I mean, if you're interested in this book, I love Holly Goethe. I am like reading her devotional. I order some of her books. Oh my goodness, I'm on a Holly Goethe kick right now because she's amazing. But It's just
Oh
been
my gosh.
really cool just to be like in that space of I am all. I mean, I'm plan A. There's no plan B. And if I
I
don't go
love
out and do it, then who else will? No one else
no,
will.
no, yeah, because nobody else can do it the way that you're gonna do it is the thing. Like I always try to preach this that oh, maybe preach is the wrong word. No, I try to preach this that God didn't just like make you and be like, "Oh, I want to see how this new new combination of characteristics and skills and talents and dreams is going to turn out. Let's just see what you're not an experiment. Like he has a perfect purpose for your life and you are made to do big beautiful great things and the biggest thing is that you are made to use all of that stuff inside of you that he gave you to serve others and you know every time somebody is on you know an interview or TV or whatever, people always say, "Well, I just want to help people. I just want to help people." Right. That's all anybody wants to do. But you have to figure out how to do it in your way with your unique gifts and talents. And so, man, I'm so stinking glad that you brought that up. And I'm now going to go stalk Holly on all social everywhere.
Yes.
So cool.
And if you're having trouble with this concept, or if you're having doubts even about your own story, I mean, this is where I come into play. I can help you see the not only your own worth, but then let's take that story and make content so that you're getting in front of the right audience, bringing in the higher end clients because they are the ones who are going to create that domino effect, right? From you. And that's where I just really want to get at is that you have the power to change someone's life, and I can help you develop that content, develop the strategy, and help you get out there and get seen.
Love that. Yes. So, guys, you can totally book a discovery call with Monica, and she can help you really dig into that and figure it all out and see how you want to write your story or tell your story in, of course, any media that you enjoy. But she can really help you hone in on that and figure out the best way to tell it. So, if you guys are interested, I will put the show. I'm sorry, I'll put the link in the show notes for you guys to book a discovery call with her. I think if you are an entrepreneur in any way, shape, or form, and you need to get your story out there, that's 100% what you need to do. You should totally book a discovery call with her and talk to her about it because I obviously know that she can totally help you to hone in on that. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. Tell us a little bit about something that you wish you would have had the courage to do sooner.
Hmm. You know, I wish I would have had the courage to get over the belief that I was not good enough. I think we all struggle with this. I mean, to a degree, we all
Mhm.
struggle with I'm not good enough to a degree. And it was really last year that I was put in a position where I was coaching others in a program that I was in. I was coaching others, and I just walked in feeling like, oh, little old me, little old me, can't do this. Little old me can't change lives. And it was in that process that I learned that I can, one, trust myself, because I really felt like for years I doubted everything I did. I was second guessed it. It caused so much pain and tears and wreckage in my own life and my thought process. And going through that program and coaching others, it really got me to see that I can trust myself because God got my back, and that I have all the answers like right here. It's just me being willing to really listen and ask not only the right questions, but also just being curiosity. And I really got that, man, Monica, you can trust yourself. You can trust what you bring to the table. And you are good enough. I mean, not to say I still don't struggle with that, but it's so not as bad as it was. like this time last year, because walking into this time last year, it was pretty prevalent. But in the last year, I really got in that courageousness to be like, owning my worth, owning who I am, owning that I can trust myself, that I am enough, and what I do is enough, and I can just be with that. Because for the longest time, I could not be with myself. And I feel like the more I practice, the more I can see that I can be with myself and be okay with the decisions I have made and my future decisions, knowing that I can trust myself. And I really got in that program that I changed lives. And it was really cool
Ooh.
because now I'm like, yeah, that's me. I changed lives. That's what I do. And this is so cool to me because when I get into that doubt, doubt still comes in. I have to remember, like, you changed lives. Look at the lives you changed last year, coaching this program twice. I had 7 wonderful people I was coaching during that time, and they're out doing massive stuff right now. And it's just like you helped change that. You helped get relationships stronger. You helped them uncover the secrets to what was holding them back. I mean, you did that, Monica. You created the domino effect.
Love it. Oh, you are so cool, Monica.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
I'm so happy that you came on the show. Thank you so much. I have thoroughly enjoyed every word. We're going to do a rapid fire real quick. What is a book, article, person, or talk that changed your life other than you were made for a God-sized dream?
Hmm. Wow. And this is rapid fire. Oh gosh. I think a message or a book. I mean, you were made for a God-sized dream was really awesome. And Go Stop Apologizing by Rachel Hollis is another one that got my
So good.
I know, it was just like, oh yeah, that's another one that helped me to realize or got me to begin realizing not only my worth, but also that like, okay, it's time to get down to the grind. And so I ordered her Start Today journal book, and I'm doing that. And I know there's going to be other things I'm going to be ordering from her soon.
Oh yes, I love her so much. I actually have a journal that I'm working through right now, and I have two I have two in stock that are waiting for me to finish the other one. So yeah, of course she is huge and just one of the people that I always knew that I had audacity, and I always knew that I had a different way of looking at things. But listening to her Start Today morning show and listening to her books really made me go, okay, but what are you doing about it? You know what I mean? Like, girl,
Mm-hmm.
get it together. Like let's go. Stop hiding behind whatever it is. So I love that you said that. Tell me about your favorite Friday night at home.
Favorite Friday night at home. I like it when my husband cooks and washes dishes.
Amen.
And also, I'm getting back into reading, and I'm reading a lot of fantasy novels. I'm writing a fantasy book, so that probably is why I'm into fantasy. And so I like just chilling out and reading my book after we put our son to bed. He's 2, so after we put him to bed, we can just relax. And my husband's playing on his phone. I'm reading my book, and that's like a pretty good Friday night.
I love that. Love it. Okay, tell me your best advice to help our listeners live with audacity.
Do it messy. Life is messy. And sometimes we have to do things messy. And it's okay. It's okay. Trust the process. It's messy.
It's messy. It's so messy.
It
And
is.
what's so funny is I am the type of person, I'm pretty analytical, I'm a doer. So I like to have everything mapped out and like just, knock things out and knock them off the list and stuff like that. I'm realizing this year or this past year, man, that does not work. I just got to do the things and just see what happens. And that's so hard sometimes.
It is. And it's, just not judging yourself, just knowing that you're in this space and it's okay. Like, it's okay. No one's going to die, probably, more than likely. And it's okay. I mean, just do
I
it.
love it.
Life is messy. So just do it messy. Trust the process, trust yourself.
Trust yourself and trust that God's going to guide you. And God is going to, lead you in the right direction, but you have to take that inspired action. So I think,
Mm-hmm.
man, I love that you said that. Thank you again so much for being here. I sincerely appreciate it. Tell us how everyone can find you to get more information about what you do and who you are and all the things.
Yeah. So if you want to find me, I would love for you to become a Facebook friend. If you just look up Monica Lynn, Lynn, and you could find me on there. And my location is in Fort Wayne, Indiana, just in case you needed that information. We just moved here, so it's craziness, but we just moved here. And so, yeah, find me on Facebook. I would love to get to know you that way. If you are, want to take the next step, one of the next steps is, I'll give this link to Melissa, and that will be in the show notes. But go ahead and download I have a 30-day content calendar. If you need help organizing your content and by knowing what you're going to say, when you're going to say it, the content calendar is really going to help you identify what you're going to say and what day you're going to say it on. So that way you're not wondering, what do I write? This is something that I give to all my working clients, and I want to give it to you. So just hit me up, or you could go to Monica Writes Facebook page, Monica Writes, and you can ask me for it there. And if family, if you are like, I am ready to take my message to a whole new level. I'm ready to start attracting higher end clients by using my message and by using my gifts to get that out there, then get on a discovery call with me. I offer free 30-minute discovery calls where we would talk about your message, where you want to take it, and how we can partner together to get that message out there in a powerful way, so you're not only making more money, but you're impacting more lives and living in that audacity space yourself. And all that would be in the show notes.
Yes, of course. I will make sure that I post all of it. Monica, thank you so much again for being here.
No, thank you for having me. It was so much fun. Thank you so much.
Hey, y'all, I had to jump in here real quick because I need a favor. If you are loving the Live with Audacity podcast, I need you to do me a big solid favor and share it with your friends, share it on social media, and go to the Apple iTunes link and click subscribe, rate it, review it. I need to know your feedback, and I want to keep putting this out for you, so I really need your help to get the message out. Thank you so much for your loyalty and your super kind and sweet words. They mean so terribly much to me.